We're going to talk about simplifying fractions with variables. And one thing I didn't get to during class today is how do you simplify a fraction if it has a variable. For example, let's say I have 4x, let me try this. So 4x, and this is cubed, over 6x, okay? I'm going to show you how to do this formally, and then you might be able to take a few shortcuts. But the first thing I want to do is I need to factor 4x cubed and 6x. So I know I could do a factor tree, but I know that 4x cubed, okay, equals 2 times 2 times x times x times x. I also know that 6x, so again I'm doing this very formally, equals 2 times 3 times x. And so I can, my greatest common factor, okay, is going to equal, and I don't quite have these lined up because I'm working on the smart pad, but that's what I have in common, equals 2 times x, and so my greatest common factor equals 2x. Okay, so now I can go up to 4x cubed times 6x, and I can divide it by the giant 1, because I can always divide by 1, and I can divide it by 2x over 2x. Okay, and that is going to equal, if I look at 4x cubed and I take out what's common, so if I take this out, what do I have left? I have 2 times x, and so that equals 2x squared. And if I take out what's common from here, what do I have left but 3? So that's 3x. Or I'm sorry, just 3. So my answer is 2x squared over 3. So now I'm going to see if I can go to the next page. So you can divide out variables just like you divide out common factors, because in fact when I have 4x cubed, its factors are 4 times x times x times x. And if I have 6x, its factors are 2 times 3 times x. And I need to erase this here. Its factors here are 2 times x times x. So another way you could do this, and you can do this as well, is you could write the factors in the numerator and the denominator. So if you wanted to factor your 4x cubed and 6x, and you wanted, again, I'm going to write down the problem, 4x cubed over 6x, okay? I could also do this. I could go 2 times x times x times x, and I could simply line them up here, and I could say 2 times 3 times x. And if I wanted to, and I'm going to use a different pen, colored pen, just so that we don't confuse what I'm doing here, I could cross out 2 here and 2 there, and I could cross out x here and X there, and you can see why I'm using the red pen, because it's hard to see black on black. So if you do this, I would recommend that you use a different colored pen when you do your crossing out. And then, of course, then I would say, oh, okay, what's left over? 2 times x times x. So that's going to be 2x squared, okay, over 3. So what I have, there are 2 ways that you could show your work on a problem like this. So let me show you the first one. The first way is that I go ahead and find my greatest common factor, and then I'm going to show my work. And I'm going to actually have to name my greatest common factor. I'm going to show my work by saying 4x cubed divided by 2x, 6x over 2x, and that equals 2x squared over 3. That is one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is you could simply show your factoring in the fraction, because in fact 4x cubed does equal 2 times 2 times x times x times x, and 6x equals 2 times 3 times x, and I can simply cross these things out. So now that we are moving forward with our mathematics, I'm giving you 2 choices. I'm giving you a choice of how to show your work. Either way is equally acceptable. You may do it this way, or you may do it that way. So let's do another one, but this time let's throw in a negative number. So let's say I have 32x, okay, over 8xy. All right? Well, you may or may not know that 32 is 2 times itself 5 times. So if you wanted to factor it, you could. I happen to know that 32 equals 2 to the 5th power, but let's just make sure. 2, and that would be 16, 2, and that would be, 8, 2, and 4, and then 2 and 2. And I know, okay, that 8 is 2 to the 3rd power. Okay, so 8, 2, 4, 2, and 2. So you also will probably recognize that 8 divides into 32. Okay, so hopefully you can recognize right off the bat that the greatest common factor of my coefficients, these numbers that come before the variable, is 8. And I can also easily recognize that x over x is common, so that I can recognize that my greatest common factor, oops, sorry, I need that one, and I shouldn't have said equals, I should have said divided by, that my greatest common factor is going to be 8x over 8x, okay, and that 32x divided by 8x is 4, and that 8xy divided by y by 8x is y. So my answer is 4 over y. Another way to write this, okay, is, so that would be one way of doing this problem. Let me just draw a line. Sorry. Another way of doing this is to say that 32x over 8xy equals, okay, and I will do the factoring above, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times x, okay, and then here I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times x times y. And then I'm going to use a different colored pen, and if you're going to do it this way, I require you to use a different colored pen. There's a 2, 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 and there's a 2. And I'm always going up and down, up and down, up and down. I'm not going across because I want to make sure that I don't cross out too many. And then there's an x, and there's an x. And so I'm left with, then, that this equals 4 over y. So you can do it either way. You could either show me this, Just that. You don't have, on this problem, it's simple enough that you don't have to show me the factoring tree because these numbers are pretty small. Okay, on a really big number, you would have to show me the factoring tree. But you could sort of eyeball this and say, oh, I can easily see that the greatest common factor here is 8x. So you can show me the division by the greatest common factor. Oops, let's undo that. Or you could simply show the factoring. So either way is equally acceptable. Now, I promised you negative numbers. So let me give you a negative number. So now I'm going to have a negative 2x cubed, okay, y, all right, over 6x, all right. Now I'll look at that and I'll say, you know what? I can easily see that the greatest common factor here is going to be a 2x, okay. So I'm going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2x. If I wanted to, I could divide the numerator and the denominator by a negative 2x. It won't matter, okay? But I know that 2x cubed y divided by 2x then is going to equal a negative, right? A negative divided by a positive, negative x squared y. Okay, and 6x divided by 2x is going to be 3. And so my answer is a negative x squared y over 3. Now, if I had divided by a negative 2x cubed y over 6x, and I had divided that by, let's say I just kind of felt like dividing that by a negative 2x over a negative 2x. Both have to be negative if I'm going to divide by a negative number, right? Well, a negative 2x cubed y divided by a negative 2x is going to be a positive x squared y, and 6x divided by a negative 2x is going to be a negative 3. That is just fine because both of these equal a negative x squared y over 3, okay? So the negative can be right out there in front so that we know that this whole number here is negative. So if either the numerator or the denominator is negative, then we can go ahead and the whole number is negative. But if they're both negative, in this instance, negative 2x over negative 2x equals a positive 1. All right, so let's do it the other way. So I could say, okay, the negative 2x cubed y. So now I'm going to want to take that negative number out. And so I'm going to say that negative 2, so this is a little bit of a trick here that'll help you do this the other way. So I would say a negative 2x cubed y over 6x, okay, equals a negative 1, okay, times 2 times x times x times x times y. And that 6x equals 2 times 3 times x. Okay, so I've showed my factoring out here. So now I'm going to use my different colored pen, and I'm going to cross out my 2, and I'm going to cross out my 2, and I'm going to cross out my x, and then I'm going to cross out my x. So I am left with equals, okay, a negative x squared y over 3. So I'm left with the same thing. All right, so now I've shown you how to do 3 different problems, and I'd like you to try 5 problems for homework and see how that goes. So good luck, and we will finish up sort of checking our homework. We just had a couple of problems we needed to go over. So I will check off your homework that we didn't quite finish going over last night, and then we'll start working on this homework. You should do the 5 problems that are assigned for tomorrow, and then we'll do a few more problems in class. See you later. Bye.